You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo or honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker out there, you can try spicy ghost pepper only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. Listen, I'm going to dare you to do it. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs that you already love. Pick a flavor. Grab some extra napkins and then grab a few more napkins and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many points there that I would just love to echo. I guess we'll start with Nando. Like, he talked about in his presser leading up to the Auburn game where he was saying, like he knows about the words of like typical and all that. Like he wants to break that. Like they're sick of it and they wanted to take this moment to do it. And I think maybe that's that I was hoping, and that's exactly what we got, was like, all right, you've said that. Now, can you back that up on the field? Can you show me that you're going to be aggressive and channel that into positive plays? That's exactly how he started out the first half of that game, and he totally channeled that. And it was a moment of oh shit, like he's for real. Like it's not just talk before the game. I think Jaden being hurt definitely hindered maybe some of our opportunities a little bit with some of our plays. Maybe changed, who knows, but maybe changed the menu and the playbook for this game a little bit just because he wasn't available to us. But despite that, he was still able to. I think we put him in run plays just enough to keep them honest when Jaden was on the field. Just enough. You weren't too sure if he was going to break off a 15, 20-yard run, but you have to account for him. And I think that part was huge. I think the one of the other things you mentioned that I'm like 100% on board with is the moment Rodgers came in. And I talked about this with Nam and Avi right after the game, but man, that moment in that game might have actually been such a huge blessing in disguise. And what I mean by that is we were struggling to run the ball in that moment when we needed to run the ball and keep possession and keep the clock moving. Nando being in there isn't that strong of a runner in an option game. And they, I think, had figured out our run game when we had a running back in there that was not Ott, or even when Ott was in there, I think they realized they could just crash the middle because he's not going to run outside. I don't think he's not healthy enough to be running outside the tackles. So once they figured that out, it kind of felt like we started to run a little bit more option just to keep them on their toes. With that, Nando's not bad, but Rodgers is definitely the better option running quarterback. And for him to come in on that play at that moment and then pull the ball for that run for the first down was exactly the type of play we needed from the exact type of player that we needed it from. And I think that was like that for me. That's why I think that moment for me was the moment where I thought we clinched it, because it was our offense was stalling. Nando goes down, Rodgers comes in, and we're running the same play that we did against that defense with Nando in just a few snaps earlier, except we have a better runner in at quarterback. And it was just a perfect storm for that moment. I think the last thing I'll say about the offensive line, and you're talking about the protections and stuff. If I were to nitpick on this game, I think the biggest issue that I had was we were so strong on first down. We would always get 3 or 4 yards on first down, and then we would do nothing on second down, which would force us into 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. That's what pissed me off. It was just like, where's the execution and where's the play calling on second down to be able to make it easier on third? Because our conversion rates, I think, on third down weren't that great in this game. Let me pull it up real quick. Our third down success rate,
amazing in the first half.
We were, and then once they made adjustments, it tapered off. So we are 44% like game total versus Auburn in the entire game was 62%. So Yeah, that's where I was like the most frustrated. Is just like we get all hyped up because on the first down it's like we're going for 4 or 5 yards, and it's like, oh, this is gonna keep the ball going, and then it's like a 3-and-out because we did nothing on second down, or like we're having to go for it on fourth down, and that's where my like just if we could have done that, like this game would have been so much easier and in hand. Um, but that's just me nitpicking.
And we haven't even talked about the defensive performance.
Mm-hmm.
So
We
maybe
got it.
we use this as a transition onto that side of the ball.
There you go.
So here's where I'm going to start.
All right.
Teddy Buchanan's arms are enormous.
Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah.
how is that not the report that we got from camp? That dude's arms are enormous.
Let me ask you another question. Are you saying that Cade Olave's arms are not?
Yes. In comparison to Teddy Buchanan, who is the Incredible Hulk. Oh my gosh, that guy is good.
That guy
Holy
was
goodness.
everywhere on the
That
field.
forced fumble was unreal. Unreal. That was an NFL level play right there.
He's starting to look like an NFL player at this rate. But good Lord, the defensive performance in this game was just outstanding. It's just like how everyone was like flipping out about Davis, and they're like, the defense played well, but they should be playing that well against an FCS team, and everyone's kind of coping a little bit with how the team played against Davis. But
who would do that?
who did that? But like in this game, it's like it alleviated everyone's issues. Like the offense, did sputter, but then we have caveats, right? Like we don't have our best player probably on offense. We probably don't have our two best wide receivers, and we also probably don't have our best right guard, who is arguably our best run blocker
Or starting center.
Yeah. So
clearly,
yeah. I know. But to give them a little bit of the center part, a little bit of the benefit of the doubt is just like I think it was the silent count.
But just dude, those are knuckleballs.
I know.
Defense. Craig Woodson played an amazing game. Marcus Harris played an amazing game. I thought Cade played really well. Missing Burrell.
Burrell played really well.
Really well.
I think unsung hero on that team was Aiden.
What's up, everybody? It's Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart. I've got a podcast called Throwbacks with actor Jerry Ferrar where we'll be talking all things sports, but also so much more. We'll give you the behind-the-scenes stories from my days as the quarterback on an iconic college football team to Jerry's days as a star on an iconic TV series. So subscribe to Throwbacks wherever you download your podcasts and follow us on all social media at Throwback Show.
Light it.
There's only one place you can hear a three-time national championship winning head coach,
a Heisman Trophy winning running back and national champion,
and someone to keep everything on the tracks. Every week, Coach Urban Meyer, running back Mark Ingram, and me, Rob Stone, get into what matters most to you.
We take you inside the biggest moments in college football
while having some fun bringing you guests from all over sports and entertainment.
Watch Triple Option on YouTube or listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Good pick.
I think Aiden was unsung. He didn't really have stats, but he ate up a center and a guard basically on every time the defense was out there.
You would think that we would lose that game in the trenches, and we did not even come close to that. Obviously, the secondary had themselves a day. No other way to put it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Rob. On another note, what the actual hell is targeting?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Targeting is jump the shark. Nobody knows what the hell it is and what it isn't.
It's true. I will say by the book, right? Just by the letter of the law, there's like multiple versions of targeting, right? Like one is helmet to helmet contact, or like leading with the crown of your helmet. The second, another offshoot definition of it is like you can't forcible contact to the head area on a defenseless receiver is another one of those, right? I think that it was weird because that first one of Cade and then reviewing that was basically that first version of targeting, which was helmet to helmet, leading with the crown of the head, which ultimately they said no because he was coming down, but the runner was also like he slipped and his center of gravity was lower, so it's just incidental. It wasn't like he was forcibly trying to lead with the crown of his helmet. I think the second one with Marcus Harris is that's what they were going for. Is it was a hit on it was forcible contact on a defensive receiver, which by the definition, I guess it kind of is because he's caught the ball and he's getting hit as he like makes the the turn to go upward or upfield, and the hit was hard. Like everyone went ooh, as soon as as the hit was made. So that probably added to the factor of that being called a targeting, but I think it was just a hard hit. I don't think it was anything malicious, nor was it, but I think that's why they probably looked at it because of the rule being like you can't forcibly hit a defenseless receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just me rationalizing all of it. Like if I want to be the fan of it, it's like that's a stupid call. Yeah, much like Noel's PI calls, it's just stupid calls.
I just think that like the Harris play. Look, I mean, I understood the Cade play because it looked like he was going to his chest, but at the end of the day, if they had tossed Cade there, I was okay with it.
Yeah, same here. And
you know what I mean? Because I was like, he still led with his head.
Yeah.
And like they have beat that horse. Like, don't do that. Don't lead with your head. So like I understand it was an awkward play and it looked like honestly like both of them almost slipped in a way. Like it just was an awkward play and it didn't look intentional. But at the end of the day, like if you lead with your helmet and you make helmet to helmet contact, I think that should be the letter of the rule. Like that's what you want to get out of the game. The play with Marcus Harris, he didn't hit. There was no hit to the head. There was it was a shoulder. Like I don't know. Like football is a violent sport. We're trying to get the head-to-head contact out of the game. We're not trying to eliminate the hard highlight reel hits. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
And if somebody tell me otherwise, if the NCAA has said, no, we're trying to get rid of all hard hits, but like that's football. And if you don't like football or if you don't like hard hits, probably wouldn't recommend it, man. It's like, it's a pretty violent sport. I mean, that is the type of hit that they should be saying, we want to see that because you did it the right way. And it's a play that is going to be on our highlight reel for the rest of the season. Like you just saw how all the other players reacted. And now we lose our starting corner for another half. So it's also like total shit that.
Yeah. I mean, thank God this happened before the San Diego State game, not like the Florida State game, right?
Yeah.
Timing kind of worked out. But yeah, I mean, I'm in total agreement. I think it's one of those things though, where it's like replay review and super slow-mo doesn't do us any favors. Like the Cade stuff and all that. Like if you rewatch that play in real time, you're like, there's no way you can call that targeting because it just happened so quickly. But then like you watch the replay and you're like, he like slightly lowers his head and then the other guy kind of slips and they kind of make contact one another. Like, yeah, because you're watching it in 1/6 of the speed that it actually happened at. Like your brain's not functioning and making those decisions at 1/6 of the speed in that middle of that moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me started on this like replay assist shit that they have in the NFL and like VAR and soccer. And I think like we've gone too far. The pendulum has shifted so far to getting it exactly right that the game is actually fundamentally different than how it was played 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so like, I hope we don't adopt that. in college. We should definitely adopt the NFL kickoff in college. It's clear as day to me. I did want to say one other thing that Brock Osweiler said that was really funny. Like, I thought he was pretty good during the game. But when Marcus Harris got ejected from the game, he over and over and over again said, you got to take a shot at Lumagia Hearns. You got to take a shot at Lumagia Hearns. You got to take a shot at Lumagia Hearns. And I was like, Brock, let them take that shot.
Yeah. Please.
He's like, he's the backup. He's coming in. I'm like, no.
And then what happened?
No. So yeah, I was like, go ahead, take that shot. They never did. And he was talking about it a lot. And I was like, yeah, no, man. Lose.
Well, they kind of did, because he made the game's final interception.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. What I was confused with, like, in terms of that stuff is, like, why'd they throw at Noel so much? You would think that I think you would think that, especially particularly after last week's game on the game tape, you would probably maybe target throwing at Marcus Harris, just because he's the Idaho transfer, right? Like, you're going to try and test if he's Power 5 level quality, even though he did play at Oregon State like before. But that's probably like the rationale you take into attacking him. It's like, you have game tape on Noel from last year, and he was arguably our best corner. Why would you keep throwing at him? Like,
I don't think Peyton Thorne had any idea what he was doing. I think if you look at Hugh Freeze during the game, he's like, what in the actual hell are you thinking?
Well, now they have a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it was so funny. They're like showing Peyton Thorne's stats. It's like his first year playing, he was really good, and then he declined, and then he declined further, and then he declined further, and they're like, yeah, we expect him to be great. I'm like, he's only gotten worse in his entire collegiate career. And I realized not all of that is his fault, but there's nothing about what I saw there that was remotely impressive, especially from somebody that's like got that many years of experience.
One throwback here. This is what I should have said when we did the overreaction, underreaction part. Look at the landscape of college football right now, and everyone was saying, why are we having this quarterback competition now? Into game week 1. Why are we doing this? Isn't it much better for us to be in this position now than to be in the position of what Auburn or SMU is going through? That they're having a quarterback controversy and switching quarterbacks now leading into week 3 versus us having used game 1 to figure it out to get to where we are now. Just saying.
It's pretty kind to the. I don't know. I could push back on that one.
Yeah.
I could push back on that one.
I'm not going to. I'm just saying I prefer this over the other one.
The thing is, Rob, with that, I agree, but you have to have been able to get the solid answer in game 1. And the issue is with past teams in the Wilcox era, we didn't get that answer against FCS opponents.
But we did this week.
We did this week.
Was
it super clear that Fernando was the dude after Davis? I don't know. But like, we definitely got that clarity this week. I do want to talk about the penalties. I don't want to make sure, like, that was crazy. I'm going to go first where you don't expect me to go, in the fact that the first half, there was like a ton of calls that went in favor of Cal.
Yeah.
And that was just a very weird out-of-body experience.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the phone on Sunday. You were just like, this is what?
It was like, what was going on? And it was like, that didn't look like, a roughing the passer, but we'll take it. It was great. I hope to experience that more often. The second, it was sort of the inevitable, like, in my emotion was like, okay, this is where everything goes wrong. Obviously, the targeting call played into that. And then we had the first pass interference call that was not pass interference. And then we had the interception in the end zone that was called back, which was not even more so not pass interference. And they get that touchdown. And I think Brock Osweiler is like, now he had some line where he's like, now Auburn is like, finally feels like they have momentum on their side. And all this, and I was like, dude, like scoreboard, bro. But what the actual hell? I think that would have been and not even I think, like, had Auburn came back to tie the game in any fashion, I mean, those were pretty bad calls.
Yeah. I mean, I think much like the two targeting calls, right? Like if I were to choose one or the other, like the first null PI, like I guess you could call as a PI because he did kind of grab onto him as he made that little turn into the fade. But like the second one was just like, how do you call that a PI at all? Like he just did a swim move to get his arm over the receiver in order to get his hand placement to get the interception, right? And I'm like, he's allowed to make that move to make a play on the ball. It's not like he's stopping him from, trying to get the ball. It's just hand fighting. So that's where I kind of stood on it, just because I was on the opposite side of the field and I was watching it on the big board as it occurred. And so, yeah, that's why I was like that was the more egregious one, the second one. But yeah. I will say, much like you, like for me, it was the moment they scored that touchdown and I looked at the clock and I was like, oh God, it's happening again, isn't it? Like it's happening again. The funnier part about with all this is that before that drive for the touchdown for Auburn, like right before that drive started, is when Auburn fans started to leave.
Yeah. They left early.
Yeah. And I talked to one of the Right for Cal writers, Christopher H. Like he said, sitting in a section and as people were leaving, he was telling Auburn fans, like, he's like, how do I have more faith in your team than me? Like, I'm sitting here in anxiety because I know what Cal could do, and I've seen Cal blow a 30-something point lead. Why are you leaving? like I have more faith that your team can make this comeback than you do. This makes total. Don't ever come back to us and tell us that we don't care about football, because those are the moments where I'm like, you've given up. We haven't given up, but we're also anxiety the hell out because of all this PTSD of prior moments of us losing leads like this late.
Yeah.
And so that's the moment I was like, when they scored that touchdown, I was like, crap. We're gonna go 3-and-out here, aren't we? Like, it's just, I've seen this script before. Thankfully we didn't go 3-and-out, but I do remember being on the sideline though, when we make that drive, Chandler gets the first down. Then it's like I was doing the math in my head and I was like, all right, we need one more first down to kill it. But then like I was like, oh, maybe we can stretch out all the time. But then it gets to third down, fourth down, and it's at midfield. And then the timeout happens and I hear, like, you see the coaching staff, because I'm like right near them. I'm like around the 20. They're like probably around the 30 or 45, and I can kind of hear the assistants kind of just saying like we need another first down, or there's not enough time, or there's enough time. So ultimately we don't, and then I think that's why they kicked the punt instead of trying to go for it. So, which I'm okay with the decision. Once again, and big picture stuff too, I don't think any of us had real qualms with the coaching staff and when they went for it and when they didn't.
Nah.
Much like last week too. I don't think anyone has any issues with the overall game management.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, we got to move on.
Yep. What do we got?
We're gonna do players of the game.
Oh,
quick picks. God, offense, defense.
God, this one's hard. Offense, defense. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, like me, you, and then me.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Offense, defense. Sorry, let me just pull up the player list.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I was gonna choose Craig Woodson. You played great, but I gotta go Teddy Buchanan. That was amazing. It's an easy pick. I'm taking it. So good.
Yeah.
Offensive. Whoa.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna do both. You're gonna do both. Oh, I thought we were going back and forth.
And Isaiah Hunter's my offensive pick.
You son of a bit. Let's see, defensive. I'm gonna go Ryan McCulloch. Do you know how many quarterback hurries he had against Auburn?
Yeah, tell me. 5?
You know how many he had last week?
5. 6.
He has 11 quarterback hurries through 2 games as a rotation player, not even a starter.
Wow.
Any one of those turns into a sack if he gets like a finger on the jersey. But just, it's incredible. 11 quarterback hurries through 2 games.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Unreal.
That's good.
All right.
That's a good pick.
Offensively, I'm gonna go Jonathan Brady here. I think
That's great.
I think he set the tone, in my opinion, on that first drive. Even that and that moment, I took a picture of it too. That moment where he makes that catch down the sideline and his helmet comes off, and he tosses the ball to the ref. Like, I think for me, that moment that fired up that entire team and just set the tone for that offense for the rest of the game. That's my pick.
Yeah, he played great. I think he was part of the instilling the belief, right? Like really early on, when the announcers and you're watching on television, they're talking so much about the injuries at wide receiver position, who's going to step up. Shout out to Maven Anderson too. Like, he had a lot of really good plays early on, and he just continues to be a great weapon to have with speed coming out of, I think, the slot. So he's I'm so happy that we have Maven on this team, and I think he was a big part of our early success. Okay, round us out, Rob. San Diego State's ahead this Saturday. We're 17.5-point favorites or something like that.
Yep.
Maybe even more.
Yep.
I think the only question that I have for you is just, is this again? Like, I remember San Diego State being a very hard team for us to beat. So is this talent disparity once it's like showcasing itself again? Is that why? I mean, Vegas spread. This is a big spread in Cal's favor.
I think it's talent disparity because I just got a text from Avi, and it's just a stat in their game against Oregon State, which was this past week. San Diego State crossed midfield just once in the first 59 minutes of their game.
How long was the game? 3 hours?
Well, game's 59 minutes.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Game's an hour, right? So it's like they didn't cross midfield until the last however much of the game, 1 minute of the game.
I thought you were just all right, interesting. Trap question.
Trap question.
Very late. It's very late.
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? So they didn't cross midfield. I mean, they got blanked out by Oregon State too, right? So I think this is a season for San Diego State that's kind of resetting. And I think we got them early on in the season enough where maybe some of their talent hasn't really developed yet. But still is a trap game. I think this is one of those games, much like Davis, where you do need to come out and you need to score early and often and just put their will to win away.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them linger around like Idaho last year, or was it last year or the year before? Like just don't let it linger. Just close them out early, and then I think if all goes to plan, like the game how it should go is the starters play, you gain a big lead, and then they're done for the rest of the night, and maybe even the twos are done for the night, and you're basically giving all those redshirt guys and walk-ons like their moment of game time, and so that you can evaluate them. Like that's the prime version of what happens. Hopefully that's the case, but we'll see. It is a little bit of a trap game, just knowing Cal's history too. So
yeah.
But look, the vibes on social media after this Auburn game is insane. It is absolutely insane that people are like, yeah, I'm flying up for this game. I wasn't planning to come up for San Diego State, but I'm going to be here just because of the Auburn win and what it meant. So if this stadium is packed out, like, look, I was talking to Nam about this. the vibe right now has the feels of like, remember that 2018 team when we beat Ole Miss and then we're coming home and we're playing ASU that Friday night, right? It has those vibes. Everyone's coming back for this. They're hyped for this team. Fernando Mendoza got an ovation in his class this yesterday. And we thought it was a fake story, but he actually addressed it in his presser. He got an ovation in his Haas class from his class after the win.
Look at that.
Look at that. We're coming back, baby. We're back. So that's what the vibes are at right now. And I think the level of opponent that we're playing after this game to kind of push that hype even further is San Diego State level enough where I'm not gonna be too afraid. Like playing a conference opponent like after this, if we were playing Florida State or Miami after this, I'd be like, yeah, this is a trap game for us, like where we build all the hype and then we lose all hype and momentum for the rest of the year. But this one doesn't feel like that. It doesn't have the feels of that. So we'll see. Saturday night is going to be a banger. Absolute banger.
Do you? I would be surprised if we got more than 40,000 there
in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, what Davis was? I think they said 32 or 33.
32. Yeah. I think it's probably 37.
I'm going to be optimistic and say we get 44. I think
44.
I'm going to be optimistic because I'm thinking it's a night game. All the students are back in tow. All of the young adult alums definitely are going to be back just because it is a night game and there's more time to tailgate. And so it's the first night game of the season. So usually that does bring a nicer crowd.
True. Okay.
That's
well,
it.
Rob, that's all we got.
That's all we got. Hopefully we covered everything. I didn't even get to tell some of my side stories of what happened at Auburn, but I will save that for another day.
We'll save it for Golden Tweets.
We'll save that for Golden Tweets, I guess. Yeah, we'll save that.
Tune in for Golden Tweets.
Yeah.
It's coming next.
If you want to know potentially how I might have gotten arrested, you'll find out on the next pod.
Oh, that's good. That's a cliffhanger. That's a cliffhanger. If I've ever heard one.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for us on the Golden Bearcast. If you're listening to us, you know where to find us. You can email us at goldenbearcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at goldenbearcast. And for everything written, you can go to writeforcalifornia.com. We got great content going up this week, so please be part of it. And I believe that's it, Andy. And as always, go Bears.
Go Bears.